Hello everyone. Here we are back with our live webinars, IoT Sparks live webinars, and we are back with a very nice topic this time. We're talking about smart building, and yeah, as usual, I will introduce a little bit our topic today, the topic of our webinar today, waiting for more people to join in. And this is also the very best moment to, if you are not present in the live, but if you are watching this webinar on our YouTube channel, this is the best moment where we're waiting to really start with our amazing content. This is the best moment to follow the channel and hit the bell so you will be notified for future content. And I can assure you that more content is coming soon, because we are also going to release very soon all the keynote sessions and panel discussion from our IoT Spark event that we host last 19th of September. And yeah, this is a very good moment to do so. I also remind our audience that it is possible to interact with our guests that you can already see in the video. Is it possible to do that via the chat or the Q&A session chat that you can find in the toolbar above you. So let's start. Today we're talking about smart building, and together with our guest, we go through every stage of a smart building project. So we will see from the beginning to production, what are the things we have to take into account, and what lessons we can learn from every stage of this project. And as usual, I'm with two great speakers. On the one end, it's I don't know if I'm sharing right. I'm in the slide with the speakers. Yes. So yeah, thank you for confirming that. So we have with us Jonas Schimd. Is co-CEO of Akenza. Akenza is an IoT platform, a low-code IoT platform, and of course is multi-purpose. One of them is definitely smart building, and they're building a very nice experience in this sector. And today is going to also present a few interesting use cases in the health system, hospital solution, and a more general use case regarding property management and facilities. And together with Jonas, also my colleague Carles Gramage is business development manager, and IoT solution architect at LORIOT. He will discuss a little bit more in detail the role of network management system, LoRaWAN and IoT in smart building solution. Without any further ado, I leave and I hand over to Jonas to start. He will share his screen and start the webinar. Enjoy the webinar and see you at the end for the questions you might have. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. I will take over from here in a few seconds. Perfect. Now we're ready to start. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much. I'm Jonas Schimd. I'm co-CEO of Akenza. And today we're talking about smart buildings, but we're also talking about general IoT journeys. I think those are just very good examples to show you what kind of lessons we learned from our customers over the last few years on how IoT projects evolve, how IoT projects go from simple, easy one use cases to complex constructs with global influence. So we're talking about the smart building market, which is kind of a multi-billion dollar market. It's also going to grow quite a lot. They're expecting $500 billion in the next few years on that, or this year even on that. So we're not talking about a small market here, but we are basing our projects mostly on these IoT topics that we also have a lot to do with LoRaWAN. Perfect. I'll start with stage one, which is kind of the experience that we have that a lot of companies are still in. It's this whole early stage IoT single use case and POC phase, where companies show up and they have one specific pain point. They're just learning basic steps of digitalization, and they are going into that validation of should we do IoT or should we not do IoT. Usually they have, as said before, they have specific pain points. They have the persona is usually someone down in the department, some kind of technical affinity or function, and he has a use case that he believes he can solve with IT, with digitalization, but it's a lot of experimentation. We experience a lot of them here, or a lot of cases that come up here. It's kind of this land and expand moment as well of makers or people who are working somewhere down in the guts of a company and are trying to build single use cases for IoT. I think it's a very good entry point, or I believe that the stage one that we call single use cases and POCs is very good for companies in the early stages. That might take a few months, that might also take a few years, but it helps them to basically get a grip on data and also get a grip on IoT. The cases that we see here, this is one case, for example, here from Spital Thurgau that we've also shown in Valencia. Cases are simple. So here in that case here, it's the department that basically does the whole housekeeping of the hospital. They have a simple button board with one simple use case here. They just press a button that says exchange linen. So someone down there in the basement actually gets a message that says, please get some new linens up to the department X. That saves a lot of hours because nobody has to call down there. It's quite an easy case for them. But this is very much one of those single use cases for one single specific problem that is being solved, that we consider a POC, but it helps the whole hospital in our perspective to get their experience on IT. Similar case here is from Spital Zurich. You see the same button board here again, but they already have 3 different use cases that they do on that board. Saving personal costs based on waste management in that case. So they basically have buttons where you can have your waste cleaned. Here it already grows because, of course, you have a lot more stakeholders already coming into play. You have different departments or different people that need to be educated on that IoT use case that you have here. But it is still one sensor here. It's one connectivity technology and not much more beyond that. Good start. Of course, we hope that all of them will grow over time and also add other use cases to that. One of the cases here, for example, is occupancy. So that they start with that case here, and then they go into cases, how is my building used, or maybe energy monitoring, and they start adding other use cases on top of that here. That's just the overview of the thing that you saw before. You see one device here, one connectivity, LoRaWAN here, in that case, where LoRiOT is very strong in, the Akenza platform, and then those kind of different use cases that they can provide. Simple, easy. So let's get to stage 2, which is kind of, you've already guessed that probably out of the step before, which is kind of expanding those single use cases and POCs and single problem sites that you have to multiple departments, to multiple use cases, to multiple sites potentially, and to support different applications of infrastructure, but also devices on the other side. So this is the point where you basically go from that simple and potentially also just make solution that you had, and you need to start adding other devices. You need to have more complex infrastructure, and it actually goes into different areas of your business operations. It's probably also not a POC anymore. It goes more into kind of actual operations where you actually need an ROI or you prove your own ROI. And the data is used by multiple stakeholders, so multiple people will have access to that data. So you need the whole hierarchy on data as well here, and for your decision making. Yeah, to give you a case here, this here is the headquarters of Zurich Insurance, where we have released multiple use cases in the same building. So they do a lot of occupancy tracking, where they look, how are my desks used, how are my meeting rooms used. They do a facility monitoring. That's more kind of the facility management part of those things. So are there areas in the building that are underused, or are there other things that are not as they should be? They track all the people, so they know exactly how many people walk in and out of the building to optimize people flows in the building. And they also do critical asset monitoring, which means we protect art, but also critical infrastructure such as fire extinguishers, that they are there where they should be. There are over 2,000 additional sensors to the BMS in that building, creating quite a few data points per year. So how does that look like? You've seen the picture before in stage 1 with a single device that goes into one connectivity and then in the platform and then into one end application. Here we have a lot of different hardware. We have occupancy sensors, we have people counting sensors, we have air quality sensors, we have energy monitoring devices. We have other data systems, for example, parking data here. We have data from the BMS system. There's data incoming through LoRa devices, but also through other connectivities that are here because they're already available. And there is a lot of end applications on the other side. So they do building reporting. That's what you can do here. There's, for example, an employee app that's fed with that data. There is an application fed that does smart cleaning. So the cleaning lady actually knows where she has to clean. And there's other third-party consumers, for example, ESG tools, where you can use that data. So this is where it gets gradually more complicated or more complex in that stage 2, going from that single string use case with one connectivity to multiple use cases with multiple connectivities, multiple hardware, and multiple end users and consumers for that data. To just add one on top of that, if you take now that from one single building, as you've seen before, and put that into a global setting, so in a global IoT hub setting, you have more devices on the left side. There are more different devices on the left side. You have LoRa sensors. You have Xovis, for example, for people counting. You have also proprietary solutions of other smart building systems that they have in other countries. And you bring that in a whole range of different end applications. So this is, as you have seen, we went from the single use case with one single connectivity, one single device, to a global system where I have multiple input sources and I have a lot of different output sources on the other side, growing gradually and putting that complex system into place all over the world. It's something that we do, that we also are very good at. Let's get to stage 3, which is then on top of that. Basically, you've so far used your IoT data internally. It's the step where you basically IoT becomes your driver of business transformation, where you start using IoT and selling it to other customers outside of your organization. So it's part of your business strategy. It's a new business model that you use, the whole complex system that you built before, and it's also a differentiation factor towards other players. It should be generating revenue, but it should also differentiate you from other players. And it's where data and IoT becomes a key product for you, and a value-added service to other players. This is, for example, IoT ISS Facility Management that does those cases. You can see different use cases that they're actually selling to their end customers. So they're not talking about IoT, they're talking about selling a service to the customer that's workplace occupancy, indoor air quality, service demand, washroom monitoring, or even oil tank monitoring. They do that for different smart facility services, and basically also visualizations on top of that, so the customers can actually see something like that. This is kind of the end stage that you get, right? I mean, this is multi-use cases, multi-sites for multiple customers. With that, basically, we can support you with all those stages. You've seen that whole journey from stage 1, from a single use case to POCs, to scale to multi-sites, multi-use cases over the place, and then actually bring it into your different business models. It's a self-service tool that we provide. It's seamless with onboarding, it's no code, and it's built to scale to different locations. Thank you very much. That was my presentation.
Thank you, Jonas. I now ask Carles to jump in. I'm sure your first part of presentation was extremely interesting, and I'm sure that well, I have already some questions, but I keep it for the end of the session. But I encourage everyone to use the chat or the QA tool to start asking the question. I'll be monitoring that and ask the question at the end after Carles' session. So, Carles, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Dario. I wanted to ask if you can see the screen where Jonas and I are.
Yes.
Then I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. It's a pleasure to join this webinar. My name is Carles. I'm a business developer and IoT solutions architect at LORIOT. And yeah, hello to you, Jonas, as well. It's a pleasure to join with you. Also, very nice to see you in Valencia last month. So, and I hope we can see each other soon and keep working together. All right. So yeah, I'm going to start with some information about who we are and what we do. LORIOT, very quickly. LORIOT was founded in 2015. It's almost 10 years ago now. And we're a software company with a network management system that operates LoRaWAN and IoT networks. It used to be called LNS for LoRaWAN Network Server. Now we call it NMS for Network Management System, since it's hybrid and can handle the two technologies. Our company has 3 offices in Switzerland, Hungary, and Spain, and right now we're about 50 employees, and so we've grown a lot in the last years, but I wish I hope that we can keep growing as much as we did for the last years. We have also a German company called Bika Group as a partner and investor since 2022. Operate worldwide in over 150 countries with both what we call public servers, which are shared instances of the software where many users can be sharing the same software, but also private network deployments, as we call them, where we install a dedicated instance of our product for one single customer. And yeah, in the next slides, I'm going to be offering you an overview of how we operate and why we are partnering with a company like Akenza. Okay, so our network management system, and I might be saying NMS from now on, is the central component of IoT deployments for both LoRaWAN and IoT, which are LP1 technologies. Our product is completely agnostic regarding the hardware part, and is also in a way agnostic regarding what happens in the application server. So platforms like Akenza can have a complete integration with our NMS. We take care of the connectivity of the devices and the gateways for them, and then they make the best out of the data that they're getting through us, make the best and make the magic happen to create their valuable solutions for their customers. The data forwarding from the NMS to the application server can be done using, for example, standard protocols like MQTT or HTTP WebSocket, but we also have deeper integrations or more complex integrations, for example, with Microsoft Azure or Amazon AWS. But in a way, it's also agnostic. So platforms like Akenza could choose whatever method they want to get data from the NMS. There's also the option to interact with the server using API calls. So both for the user part and the admin part of the server, obviously also through a user interface. Then our product NMS is completely up to date with the LoRaWAN and the IoT specifications. We're compliant with those specifications. We implement features like FUOTA, which is firmware update over the air, things like payload decoding, multicasting, virtual networks, device profiles, and basically everything that those protocols allow you to do. So that's an overview of our product. As I said, it's the central component of a LoRaWAN or a IoT network. And the goal is to ensure, let's say, a secure communication and efficient communication between the devices and the application server. So in this case, Akenza can do their thing on the application server side. This next slide offers you an overview of what different models we have, how our NMS can be used. And it can be used in multiple ways. Like what you see on the left would be the community servers, which are free of use, and they're mostly for testing and for people buying a device, buying a gateway, and wanting to test the technology. And we have the professional public servers, which are deployed globally, and that can be used in a SaaS model. So we have Also on the right, after those professional public servers, what you could deploy is a private server, which is a dedicated instance of the software. And this instance can be installed on premises, hosted on VMs hosted by LORIOT on dedicated VMs and offering them as a service to the customer, or we can even install it on the premises of the customer. So on some VMs that the customer is taking care of. With these models, what we try is we try to adapt our offering to all kinds of deployments, and we have this way we have an adaptable solution for every different scenario. Models are easily scalable. You can easily migrate from one model to another. So what we try is to support companies in a way that they can expand their business and their use cases, and they can grow. We can grow with them as their use cases and the volume of traffic that they generate grows. Yeah, so I was saying we try our, what we like or what we have seen is a customer that starts, we'd like to see the whole journey. Let's say a customer that starts with a community server, then needs some more professional features or SLA or reliability, moves to a professional public server for small, medium-sized projects, and then ending up migrating to a dedicated server because of the volume of the project or because of some features that are only available for private servers and so on. Talking about private servers, they also have different levels of architecture. So starting with a monolithic server, which would mean that there's only one VM taking care of the whole backend, front-end, database, everything. But then we have redundant servers as well with high availability, where we have replicated VMs on the different layers. And this way we try to be compliant with higher SLAs or be compliant with requirements from customers who need redundancy, who need a highly available environment. And at the bottom, you can see some, we work with private customers, we work with smart cities, we work with, we have nationwide deployments as well, as you can see there. And right now we've got over 25,000 users on our different servers. Next slide. I just mentioned that we have different types of deployments, small, medium, large, but the good thing is that for all these projects, no matter the size, we ensure excellence and the highest performance and the highest security, and even small customers, small deployments can benefit from things that are probably more specific for bigger deployments. You can see some key things here and benefits that we offer. You can see, for example, strategic partnership with the BICA group that I mentioned earlier. We're members of the LoRa Alliance, we're members of the MIT Alliance, and we also play an important role in the whole LP1 ecosystem. Also things like the ISO certifications, for example, which help back up our reputation, let's say. Got insurances with Swiss banks, you can see there, to protect our customers. We got external cybersecurity reports, penetration tests that we go through regularly. So we aim for our product to be very high security, very high quality. And in general, that's our goal. We invest a lot. We work very hard to make sure that we can go to market as a top tier software provider and technological partner. And that's definitely where our focus is. All right, so this slide is more about how we integrate with IoT platforms, how we join forces, how we combine our products, and how we offer what matters when, for example, LORIOT and Akenza join forces to offer the end customer a solid solution. So as I said before, we offer platforms the option to receive data via different protocols, integrations. We offer API integration. So for example, an action happening on the Akenza platform could have its corresponding impact or action on the LORIOT server. So Akenza would not need to log in on the LORIOT user interface to do something. The idea is that everything can be automated. Things like, for example, registering a device, things like inviting a user with its email address, inviting a user to the network server, sending a downlink, for example, could be something that could be done through APIs. So the deeper the integration, the more automated everything is, the better for both Akenza and LORIOT, but also for the end customer, because the quality and the performance and the reliability of the solution that they're getting is going to be much bigger. Same thing with gateways, for example. We support SameTech Basic Station. We do have our own binary, and we provide end customers and IoT platforms with a lot of tools like reports, statistics, or they can monitor and configure not only the gateways, but also the devices or the whole multi-tenant environment, things like user activity, event logs that would be showing pretty much everything that's happening on the network server at every level, everything in real time. So that's how we try to ensure a healthy deployment. That's how we try that the network server and the IoT platform are perfectly integrated. And this way, customers do not need to worry about the whole connectivity thing from LORIOT, but they can focus on their use cases, focus on building their solutions. Last slide. Yeah, this is a slide showing multiple use cases and solutions that could be built using LORIOT and Akenza. Obviously, today they presented some solutions and some methods more for like smart building, but technically any solution could be built using the right sensors and then the right logic and intelligence on Akenza's platform. So we could tackle pretty much any type of IoT solution and deployment. And yeah, basically here you can see some smart industry, smart agriculture, smart metering, which is a big thing as well. And the good thing, just to end with this, is that agnosticism and hybrid solutions like the LORIOT network server, NMS, sorry, network management system, but also Akenza. This way customers can have like one single software provider, but then can think of multiple solutions combining whatever technology is best for a specific use case. So it could be LoRaWAN, could be IoT, could be other type of sensor. And combining those two products, I think is key to try and offer the end customer the best solutions as possible. Okay, and yeah, I think with this was my part. Hand it over back to you, Dario, for the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Carles, and again, thank you, Jonas. So, as said, I already have some questions. In the meantime, because we talked today about different stages in the smart building, but in general, IoT deployment. So I would ask the audience present today if they want to interact with us and with our guests to write in the chat what stage they are in at the moment. So are you at the beginning of the IoT journey? Are you already running a POC and, let's say, looking forward to the next stage? Are you already in a later stage and managing a multi-site, multi-use case IoT project? It's interesting. If, of course, no obligation, if you want to interact, it would be great for us and for our guests, I guess, too, to know what stage are you in. And regarding the presentation, I'm a very big fan of IoT impact. This is my, let's say, refrain. I always talk about IoT tribal impact. So in this case and use case we saw, it's amazing how IoT, in this case, in smart building use cases, can bring efficiency, so better usage of resources, water, electricity, human resources, and so on. It brings social impact, because especially in a building, when we can control air quality, we can control room occupancy, cleaning, windows and stuff. It brings a better place to work or live, or if you are in hospital, a better place you can recover from your illness. So it's social, and it's economic and financial value. As you've seen with Jonas, what is ISS is doing is creating a new business model, new solutions that they sell, and they are operated with IoT technologies. So my first question is, this is a trend. Smart building is a trend that is growing, and so for Jonas, what make Akenza IoT platform different from other platform and the best choice for smart building solutions?
So we've been working on that topic for quite a while already. On the topic of smart buildings, I mean, we come out of the LoRa sector, similar to what Carlos talked before. And we've been starting building use cases on our platform 7 years ago, at least, on the smart building sector. I think it always, even though we keep a generic product, you can do other verticals as well. There is always certain parts that are specified on certain technologies. So we've, especially in the dashboard composer, we've built quite a few things that you can use in smart building. There is, for example, a collaboration with a company from Singapore called Simpler Space, where you can actually upload your 3D model and then use your IoT data in that 3D model. There's also other features that are very much focused on that. We have a device type library, so we provide a list of over 200 devices, many of them in the smart building sector, many of them LoRaWAN, for example, for energy monitoring, that you can also use on our platform.
And let's say second part of the same question, now, how does your platform actually simplify? Because as also Carlos said, and also as we saw from your graphics, IoT is a sum of components. You have the sensors, you have the network management system, you have the connectivity, you have the IoT platform, and of course you have different options. So how does Akenza platform actually simplify, say, the get to go in the smart building project?
Absolutely. So there's different features for that. I think one of the key elements that we have is we have a bidirectional integration into the LNS or the network system that you described before. So basically, it's very easy and it's low code for someone, for example, for a facility manager to onboard devices on our platform, to choose a connectivity like LORIOT, for example, and then to bring the data into an end system. Those kind of projects used to have kind of an IT background, so operations people were always hindered on building cases like that. We have a UI that doesn't need any code. We have those simplifications, as I said, with the LNS. It's very easy for someone with a facility management background, for example, to handle 2,000 plus devices and without having to rely on their IT department to build IoT. And I think you see that case also in the hospital. This is not the IT department of the hospital that runs the case or the POC. This is someone in their operations department that can actually build those IoT cases. And I think that's kind of the differentiation factor that you need, simplification and making it easy and making it a one-stop shop that those people can actually start implementing IoT in their daily life.
Thank you. I'm, of course, constantly check the chat, waiting for our audience questions. In the meantime, I also have another question for the two of you guys. And it is, we saw today that IoT project doesn't start big, doesn't start with 1 million devices, doesn't start with not even with 1,000 devices. So it's a long journey. And it start with a small POC. So, what is, guys, your best advice for, let's say, starting this journey, from small to big scale?
Shall I go, Jonas?
You go first.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are many things I could say, but I'll try to put them in some nice order. I mean, I will say a very simple thing to start with. The best thing you can do to start is get your hands on something and test the technology and at least invest a small amount of money a decent amount of money so that you can build a solution that's good enough so you can show it to someone and convince them that this what they're seeing can get bigger and can have even bigger meaning and bigger value the more sensors and the bigger the use case, the bigger you make the use case. And this is not easy. I mean, in this case, Akenza, they're more used to talk to the end customer. We're talking about smart building. I see two types of end customer. One is definitely the person that's having a better quality in the workplace or in the place where they're living or in the common areas they're using. But actually, probably the customer is not the person seeing and touching that value. Is probably the owner of the building or the company that manages a building and so on. So it is, I think, a good idea for me to in the case of Akenza, for example, try and tackle and talk to these companies or these people who are owning those buildings and trying to run a small pilot project for them, trying to convince them that what they're going to do is going to have a big value, trying to find a budget for this company to at least get started with something, define very well how long this pilot project is going to be, what are the goals, what we are providing, what we are providing, and then try to define very well what scenario we're going to show to the end customer. And this way, I think we all can have what we need to prove ourselves and to show them that the technology in the use case they're thinking of matters, because we know it's good, we know it matters, we know it can change, it can help them save money, it can help them with a lot of things, but sometimes it's hard for them to see. So the better we define everything and the more we convince them that at least they should try in a controlled environment and with some goals and some analysis, I think that's the way to go.
My general feeling is think of the use case that you want to do. So what kind of use case do you want to solve? Inform yourself about the use case that you want to solve, and then look around what's already available. We often come across customers and projects that are completely 100% reinventing the wheel. So, they start with, I want to build my own hardware. Look, there is thousands of hardware providers in the world that have already built the sensor that you're looking for. So maybe you start with buying an off-the-shelf device. You can still invent your own a year later, There is already an LNS from LORIOT that you can use that's available, so you don't have to reinvent the LoRaWAN connectivity. There's already a platform from Akenza that you can use for free for 30 days. That's online available, so you can sign up at 11 o'clock in the night and use it. You don't have to build your own IoT platform and spend the next 12 months, 100,000 of francs of building your own IoT platform thing. There is potentially even end applications that are already available that you can bring your data in. So my feeling is often that people come here and they say, I'm going to invent the world, or I'll invent the whole world instead of looking what's already there. And the IoT market has evolved a lot. I think there's a lot of solutions for a lot of use cases outside of proprietary systems. There is devices for all kinds of cases. I mean, if not, let's start looking around, or let's talk what you haven't solved or what you're looking for. But generally, I think the components are there. So your journey, like you saw with those hospitals, they have not invented the SOD boards. They have not invented connectivity. They have not invented a platform. They haven't spent any money on IT development as such. The only time they spent was basically thinking of use cases of how could we use a button to improve our processes. And the second, maybe a little time, was which email address do I need to send the email to that they sent me new beds down there from the basement, or bed sheets down from the basement. So there was only little effort, and most of it on the use case and the business case, and no effort on development. And I think this is one of the key elements of where we stand with IT at the moment. We can do a hell lot. We need use cases and we need business cases, and then we can define what kind of technologies do we use for them. We're not building technology for use cases. We are using technology to solve a problem.
Thank you. I think it was very good answer from both of you. And of course, if you're at the very beginning, and as Jonas said, it's good to start what is already available. So I'm leaving in the chat the email address of Jonas and Carles. So if you have a doubt, for example, your use case, your need, and you don't know what it's already there, in terms of sensors or technologies you can use, please get in touch with our guests. They will be probably happy to help you through the start of your IoT journey. And one thing that is also important, I would like to remark, is that a chain is only as weak as the weakest link. So it's very important to always rely, even if you're starting a small project. It's very small. I don't mind top tier security. I don't mind, but this small project eventually will become something big. So it's very important to start from the beginning with trustworthy partners. And of course, LORIOT, I cannot say otherwise, but I can say the same for Akenza. And of course, we can guide you through picking the right gateway vendors, device vendors, and any other element, any other component of the architecture. So it's important that you rely on reliable partners for your project, and this is something important because many projects they die after POC because they started on the wrong foot. It's important to start, as also Carlos said, very well from the beginning with your plans ahead. I don't see any question in the chat, but I can see that everyone's stuck with us till the end. So this means we provide very, hopefully, good, interesting content. Anyway, as said, we are going to share this webinar in the next few days, so you will be able to see it again and to check again the slides. And through the email, you can get in touch with our speakers that I thank again. And I thank you all again. I ask Charles to, Carlos to perfect.
Yeah, there's
The final thank you, and see you next time. Thank you for joining us again, and thank you to our guest, Carles. Thank you, Jonas. See you.
Thank you, Dario, and thanks,
Thank
Jonas.
you very much for organizing. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, Dario. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.